Hello everybody, welcome back to Sports Betting Truths, analyzing sports with our series. This is going to be the fourth video of the series, and starting with this video, we're going to start getting a little bit more targeted and a little less broad. We're going to start talking about more targeted concepts, and today we're going to talk about functions. Before I begin though, I just want to point out this video is brought to you by our friends at BetMGM and BetRivers. These are two great legal stateside United States-based sports books, so you don't have to send your money overseas to God knows where who knows if you're ever going to see it if you win and want to do withdrawal. Here with these two books, you don't have to worry about any of that. You have total peace of mind when you're betting. Now, our friends at BetRivers, if you live in Pennsylvania or Illinois, you can sign up with BetRivers and get up to a $250 instant deposit match. Sounds like a good deal to me if you live in Pennsylvania or Illinois. And then BetMGM, if you live in Tennessee, Indiana, Colorado, Iowa, and now our friends in Virginia can also sign up for BetMGM. So that's 5 states where BetMGM is giving you an instant sign-up offer of up to $500 instant deposit match if you sign up with the links below. Now, like I said, these are great legal stateside-facing books that are regulated, so you don't have to worry about risking your money, sending it overseas, and having to do all that to who knows who, shady individuals that operate overseas sports books. No, you can keep your money within the United States, deal with Americans, and deal with people who aren't going to be clip-shot joints, fly-by-night joints, and anything like that that is associated with those shady offshore books. So keep your money right here in the United States. Again, Pennsylvania, Illinois, BetRivers is your friend. Sign up with the description link below. And then Tennessee, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, and Virginia, BetMGM. Sign up with the link below. Take advantage of this now legal stateside sports betting. Show the world how it's done so other states can hop onto the legal sports betting train as well. Now, today's video, like I said, is about functions. Now, functions might sound pretty complex, intimidating, and scary, but trust me, it's not. You have already dealt with functions if you've watched the first 3 videos, so it's going to be nothing new. What we're going to talk about today is how to build your own functions to use for your own code. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so there's really not much to functions, so this shouldn't really be too long of a video, but for the most part, you've already used functions, because functions are just commands that run a certain code. So when we did string split, for example, in the last video, that's a function. Subset is a function. Order is a function. These commands are functions, and like I said, functions are just a command that you type, a named command that you enter in that runs code for you. So what we've used so far are what are called built-in functions, that are part of R, like grep, grepl, all these above that we've done, print. Print is a function, which is a function. All those are a part of R, but we can make our own functions that are custom made to run certain code that we want to run. So I'm going to build the easiest function there is, and we're going to call it my first function. And this is the syntax, by the way. So to make your own function, you first put what you want your function to be called. So ours is called my first function. Then you assign it with an arrow and then do function. You can put X in there. Let's just put X for now, right? And so we're going to do print 2 plus 2, right? Go ahead and compile that. And what do you think is going to happen when we call my first function? We got return 4. You know why? Because what our function does is it prints 2 plus 2, which equals 4. That's pretty easy, right? That's what a function does. It's that simple. All they are custom pieces of code and commands that you can use to call and do various things. You saw what I did here with the X, right? So that is what's called a parameter. You can pass parameters into R. So let's do this one. Let's call this my add function X. So nothing has changed. And then we're going to print X times 2. Okay? So let's go ahead and compile that. What do you think is going to happen when we do my add function like we just did my first function? We got an error. You know why? Because we didn't pass a parameter. In order to pass a parameter, this is all you do. So we're going to do my add function, and let's just pick a random number. Let's do 10, right? So that time we got 20 because it took what we put in the parentheses and assigned it to variable X, and then it printed X times 2, which is 10 times 2 equals 20. That's how you pass parameters to a function. What if we did this? What if we did this my math function, x, y. So this is where we do multiple parameters. So let's do this, print x plus y. So let's compile that, and let's do my math function like we just did, 2 or 10. We got an error because we didn't pass multiple arguments. You have to pass the correct number of arguments. Right here we have 2 parameters or arguments. The terms are used interchangeably, parameters, arguments, whatever you want to use, but we have to pass 2 arguments into my math function. So let's do this. My math function, 20, 30. We got 50 because it printed x, which was 20, plus y, which was 30, equals 50. You can pass as many parameters as you want. They can be strings, they can be numbers, they can be logical. So let's do a function that does all 3. My complex function. R numeric, R string, R logical. So we're going to pass 3 types of functions here, and we're going to make this kind of complex. So let's do this. If R logical equals true, then print paste R string, R numeric, sep equals that. Else, print paste R numeric, R string, sep equals plus. How about that? I don't know, it's just random, right? So we're doing a logical code in our my complex function. So if we make the logical true, it's going to print the string first and then the number. Otherwise, it's going to print the number and then the string. So let's do this. My complex function. Let's just pick a random number, 4. Let's just pick a random word, Connor. And then let's just pick a random logical, false. Right? Okay, here. Okay, it printed 4 plus Connor because our logical is false, so that was not true. So it went down here and printed the number first, then Connor, separated by plus. So if we did this, 3, Oscar, and true. Well, it printed Oscar dash 3 because our logical was true, so it printed the string first, then the number, and then that. So you can pass whatever you want to a function. And functions can be very complex. Right? If you go through all my college basketball code, I mean, everything I do is functions. Like, how we've done it so far is that we've just had the code just kind of lying here on its own without being wrapped in a function. But actually, all of my code is all based on functions, right? Like, everything. Everything is called by functions. That way, I just have to enter in a single command to run code instead of having to copy it all and run it, you know. I have it separated into various functions and bins so I can go in order. So that's pretty much the gist of functions. You can make them as complex as you want or as simple as you want. Like some of my functions span very many lines up here. So basically the easiest way to keep track of all your code, just wrap them in functions. Now there's something I want to point out though about functions, and that is how variables are stored within functions. So I'm going to do this. Let's do my variable function x, and then do this. Let's assign my variable equals 1, and then print my variable. Or how about this? My variable equals x. So you're like, okay, this seems like a pretty easy function. Why are you doing this? Well, I'm about to show you why. My variable function, and then 5. Okay, it printed 5, right? Awesome, right? That's what the function did. Very simple. So now you're probably wondering, okay, what's the point? Well, what if I do this? What if I want to call my variable? Oh, it says it can't find it because any variables you assign within a function that use the single arrow like this will only be able to be called within the function. So it will be able to print my variable within the function wrap, but outside of the function, it won't be called, which I'll show you right here. So if I run all this code right here, see, it can't find the variable because variables within functions with a single arrow can only be discovered within the function itself. And that's what I want to call the environment. See, the environment up here. So there's 2 types of environments. There's the global environment and any variables assigned outside of a function. So if I do this, my variable equals 5, Well, if I come down here and do my variable, well, it can find that variable because I called it outside of a function and therefore it's part of the global environment. But within a function, it's only a part of that function's environment and therefore it can only be called within the function. So you're probably wondering, what if I want to assign a variable within a function and call it outside of the function and put it in the global environment? Well, it's very simple. You just do this. You do 2 arrows, right? Not 2 dashes, but 2 arrows pointing to the variable. And when you do that, it assigns the variable to the global environment so you can call it outside. So let's rename this my variable 2 just so we can exhibit this. All right, my variable function 6, and it printed 6. So if I call my variable 2, well, it's visible now because I double arrowed it and therefore it's a part of the global environment. So this is very important if you want to assign variables that can be, used within other functions. Like very important for all my stuff. As you can see, most of my stuff that I do is double arrowed, so they can be found. Here's one. I double arrow this one because I use master df lineup ATS in other functions, so I need to be visible. But if the variables are just within the function and you're okay with it, you can use a single arrow because using double arrows for everything is not ideal because it's going to make your R data bigger. So the R data is what you save your workspace as. So your R workspace, it's going to be bigger, which right here, mine is, for my college basketball model, it's 216 megabytes. That's a lot because I've assigned too many stuff to double arrows. So you got to weigh, okay, am I okay with making my R workspace very large that will take forever to save at the expense of double arrowing it? Well, that's just something you're going to have to decide what to do. But that's how you make variables within functions be able to be called outside of the function itself right there. But I do want to point out stuff about double arrows is that sometimes, this took me forever to figure out, by the way, so be glad that I'm telling you this, but there are some functions that you can't double arrow all the time, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's an R bug or what, but I think the most common one is the call names function, and I'll show you right now. Let's do this. My data frame equals data.frame, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do call names, my data frame, 1 to 4 equals C, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if this will work, but let's try it. My variable function 6. Okay, and then my data frame, well, it's not going to be visible, so we're going to have to double arrow it. And I'm going to keep showing you what I mean here. So the reason the column names are still x1, x2, x3, x4, and not 1, 2, 3, 4 is because we single arrowed it. So now we're going to have to double arrow it. There we go. And now it's labeled right. But there will be times, I'm trying to make it happen. I don't know why it happens, but there will be times you try to double arrow call names, my data frame, 1 to 4, high 1, high 2, high 3, high 4, and it won't work. It might happen right now. See? Okay, there we go. It gave me the error message. So you're like, okay, why is it giving you an error message? The code's not wrong. Because sometimes when you try to double arrow something, like call names is probably the best example of this, it gives you an error message, right? So then if you single arrow it, it'll work. Why that happens, I don't know. But I remember when I first discovered this, when I was working on my baseball model, as you can see, it's all right now. It took me like an hour or two to figure that out, right? I was like, why is this not working? But whenever you get the error message not found, it's often always because either the variable doesn't work, you have a typo or something, or because you're trying to double arrow something and it just won't accept it and you have to single arrow it instead, okay? It's a pain in the butt, but I just wanted to point that out about double arrows and single arrows so you're not like me and like spending an hour or two to find out why that's happening. Just single arrow it, it should still work. All right, well, that's pretty much functions. There's really not much more to it, but like I said, you can make functions as complex or simple as you want them to, but you need to know how to do them. So that wraps up this video about functions. Like I said, not that complex. It's really not, but you're going to need to do this because functions are going to be the cornerstone of any script or package or code or anything you make, whether it be a sports betting model or anything else you use in R. You need to know how to do custom functions. Very important and very powerful. So that's how these videos in the series are going to be going forward. A lot more targeted to specific concepts and packages, a little bit less broad, but hopefully more helpful, and we can start getting into the nitty-gritty on how to analyze sports. In our next video, we're going to be covering reading and writing files, another important part of using R. So until then, this is Sports Betting Truth, signing off.